Hey everyone, how's it going? Hobbs here. I know it's been far too long since I've done another one of these, but welcome back to my video series of ranking and reviewing the Star Wars films from worst to best in my own personal biased opinion order. Last time we ranked and reviewed my number 8 spot, which was Solo, a Star Wars story, and at the end of that video I said that the number 7 spot that we'll be talking here today is going to be quite a controversial one. Now actually, since that video and this video, my number 6 and 7 spot have swapped. So, I don't think me ranking this film here is going to be that controversial. But, it is a controversial film nonetheless we'll be talking about today, since it is part of the new Disney cash grab sequel trilogy. That's right, today we're going to be, ranking and reviewing my number 7 spot. Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So... I think we should just start off, say what the big problem is with this movie and entire trilogy, which is made evident from this movie right at the start. And that is how it is made clearly evident with this movie, with how vague their explanation is on how they bring back Palpatine. It becomes clearly evident that, Disney went into the sequel trilogy with, no plan whatsoever, and it's noticeable in this film, sadly. I think this film does have a good concept, which we'll get into, but it is sadly noticeable that Disney didn't go into this film with a plan of any means. They didn't have a clear roadmap at all. And unfortunately, a lot of the characters' story arcs, because of that, feel so incoherent, throughout these films. I think that's why Kylo Ren is, the favorite and best character of the sequel trilogies, because he's, the only one with a full coherent story arc, through and through, throughout all 3 films. But yeah, this film, as I said, right off the bat, it's made quite evident that Disney didn't have a plan going into this trilogy, because the way they just bring back Emperor Palpatine is just so vague. They barely explain to you, how they did it. They somewhat touch on it, when the Resistance finds out that he's back, Poe's all somehow Palpatine has returned. And then, you have General Akbar's son who's how? And then some guys that's evil science or whatever, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew. So, they kind of hint that it's just a clone of Palpatine. And it is made pretty evident that it's just, his ghost, his spirit, hunting this new clone body of his. It's made pretty clear it's just his spirit, since, even from the opening crawl, they refer to him as, the Phantom Emperor, and this whole, plot point plan in this film is trying to get a new body, through either Rey or Kylo. So that's at least made pretty evident, is that he has died before. It's just his spirit trying to come back and to find a new vessel so that he can come back again and have his rise to immortality, basically. But again, it's just so unfortunately vague on how he got his spirit to come back, and we don't even really get a full explanation that is a clone body that he's in the film. We only find that out from, the novelization version. And there are a lot of, answers that we get from questions that we've been wondering about this whole trilogy that are, answered in this film. But unfortunately, a lot of those answers that we get in this film just end up giving us even more questions, questions that we didn't even have before. Because, 2 of the biggest questions that people have been asking throughout this whole new sequel trilogy is, who is Snoke? Who was Snoke? Where did he come from? And then the other big question is, where did Rey get all this raw power from? How is she so powerful? Well, they answer the Rey one, with, saying that she's related to, Palpatine, that she's his granddaughter. But then that just rises the question in the film of, wait, you're telling me that old freaking prune-faced looking old man got with somebody and, had a son? You're what? Well, who are her parents? When did, Palpatine get the hookup going on? Which, that didn't bother me as much, because, we know Palpatine, when he was young and before he looked all hideous, like a shriveled up prune, he was pretty powerful in the Senate back in his day, so he could have easily had a secret family on the side. But still, it just raises so many questions. The fact that we find out, that Rey is his granddaughter does answer the question of why she is so powerful, but it brings up even more questions as to, where, her parents even came from. When was Palpatine, who was he hooking up with this entire time, and why haven't we known about his son before? All those are questions that come up with that question being answered, why Rey's so powerful, we now have those questions of why we're just now finding out about Palpatine's family and where they came from. Because it's answered in the novelization version of this film once again, but not in the actual effing movie. It's frustrating. In the novel, you find out that his son, since he's been trying to create a new vessel for his spirit this whole time so he can rise again, we find out in the novel that his son was just a failed clone attempt of him that wasn't powerful enough to host Palpatine's spirit. So his son just ran away and found someone that he met up with, and that's where Rey came from. But you don't really find that out in the movie, which is annoying. They're very vague with Palpatine's contingency plan and how he did come back, unfortunately. I do like his plan, though, of trying to, be immortal, trying to come back again, because, that's always been hinted to throughout the entire Skywalker saga, especially Revenge of the Sith, of how, the Sith have always been looking for a way to cheat death. Him and Anakin have been trying to discover this power. And so, I like how they use the line even to call back Revenge of the Sith when, Kylo asks him, how he's back, basically, and he says, the dark side of the Force is a pathway to abilities some consider unnatural. He uses the exact same line that he uses in Revenge of the Sith. So it makes sense that Palpatine would come back, because he's always, the Sith have always been trying to find that secret to immortality, so it makes sense that he would have a contingency plan and have all these followers waiting for him, trying to make him a clone body, trying to find a way where he could come back, because, that's what the Sith are so afraid of, is that they can't have life after the Force like the Jedi can. That's why they cling to immortality. So, him having a contingency plan, trying to come back, it does make sense, but it wasn't foreshadowed to at all, because there's no plan for this trilogy, and they were just way too vague about how he did transfer his spirit into that clone body to come back. They don't explain it in the movie. In the book, again, it's explained that he transfers his consciousness, his spirit, into a failed clone body. But you don't get that in the book, the movie. You're just like, why are you back? Because it's like, okay. But if you accept that and look past that, this film is a pretty fun ride, I would say. Besides the vague reasoning of how Palpatine came back, there were things I loved about this film, especially with Palpatine. I love his plan to fully come back, the whole Sith ritual thing, how if you strike him down in your anger and you're powerful enough, he'll be able to transfer his spirit and all the other Sith spirit that came before into you. I thought that was really cool. It made it make so much sense, as to why Palpatine's always been so obsessed with getting people to strike him down, throughout the entire saga, like he tried to get Luke to do in Return of the Jedi. Because with that realization, you now understand why he was trying to get Luke to strike him down in Return of the Jedi. You realize that if Luke had struck him down, that he would have been able to transfer spirit over into Luke's body. So you're like, wow, this whole Sith ritual thing makes a lot of sense. And I actually did like that plot premise of him trying to come back by trying to get someone powerful enough to strike him down, in their anger, so he could have his spirit possess them to secretly rule the galaxy. It was an interesting premise. I did enjoy it. It's just a shame that, again, his return was so vague. But there are plenty of other fun things I loved about this movie as well. One thing I really liked is how they brought Poe and Finn back together, because that was one thing I hated about The Last Jedi that they did, was splitting those two up, because out of all the new characters introduced in The Force Awakens, Poe and Finn easily have the best chemistry together, and then for some reason in The Last Jedi they split them up. But they're back together in this film, and they have amazing chemistry again, so I loved that. It is a shame that, Finn hasn't really had a great story arc since The Force Awakens. They're kind of having a hard time trying to figure out something to do with him. It's revealed that he's Force sensitive in this film, but it's too late at this point. There's nothing to do with that. I do like all of these three new characters' roles, though, they end up playing by the end of this film. I like how Poe and Finn become the new generals together. I thought that was really cool, and I do like how Rey is the one to protect the Skywalker legacy going forward. Another thing I really loved about this film was Kylo Ren's redemption story. I thought that was handled really well, and I thought all the OG trilogy, original trio characters, Han, Luke, and Leia, I thought they all had great, fantastic send-offs in this movie, too. Getting to see the memory of Han being there to help redeem his son, and Leia being the one to sacrifice herself to redeem her son, I thought was awesome. And then, Luke giving that speech to Rey, that, bloodlines don't matter, that, the whole purpose of a Jedi is to confront and face their fears. I thought that was an awesome moment for Luke, teaching moment for Luke to give it away to Rey, and, seeing how far he's come, how far how much he's learned, and then seeing him like lift the X-wing from the water as a callback to Empire Strikes Back for Rey. I absolutely loved it. So I thought like all the original characters had great send-offs in this film, and C-3PO was even used more in this film again. Finally, like in the Last Jedi, he just felt like a freaking desk prop. Basically, he was just sitting around the table. But they bring a lot of the classic Star Wars humor back with him, which I loved, and he had a more pivotal role. I loved all the roles of the original trilogy characters in this movie, and I really liked the while the side new characters could have been handled better, like Finn. I did love what they did with the two main characters of this entire trilogy, Kylo and Rey. I loved seeing their dyad connection furthered even more in this film. How Kylo explains it, how they're explains their connection more, how they're two in the Force that are one. They're basically one soul together. The Force has chosen a soul that the Force has chosen to weave together as one. I thought that was really cool, and it explains how they're able to heal each other because they're both one in the Force. That's another thing about this film that people like really freaked out about when they saw it, was Rey being able to use Force healing abilities. They're like, what the heck? Well, this creates a huge plot hole. If Anakin would have known about that, his mother never would have died. He never would have turned to the dark side. He wouldn't have to worry about Padme dying. Like, this creates like the hugest plot hole in the entire saga. Not necessarily. Force healing has actually been a thing in the games, actually way before this, and has actually been a thing since the very first 1977 Star Wars. In that movie, when Luke gets attacked and knocked out by the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders or whatever, Obi-Wan comes and saves him, of course, but he's also knocked unconscious, and you see Obi-Wan put his hand on Luke's face to bring him back to consciousness. That was a use of Force healing. Now, Jedi, they just can't use Force healing to heal fatal wounds. An example of this would be in The Phantom Menace. When Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan runs over to Qui-Gon to try to help him, but the Qui-Gon's first words that he says to him are, "It's too late." Force healing does work, you just can't use it on more fatal wounds. The only reason that Rey and Kylo are able to use it to bring each other back to life is because of that Force connection that they share, because they're one in the Force. They share the same life force, basically. And again, I thought that connection was really cool, how they explained that in this film, because to me, with what Snoke was saying in The Last Jedi, the reason that is because Snoke, he said that he knew if Kylo Ren were to come to the dark side of the Force, it would try to balance itself out again by calling someone from the light. So I think that's why the Force chose to connect Rey and Kylo, and I thought their connection was really cool in this film. As I said, I loved Kylo Ren's redemption that he had to play and coming to help Rey out at the end. I thought that was all handled really well. I loved how all the previous, getting to hear all the previous Jedi's voices too, like in her head, getting to help her out to defeat Palpatine. I thought that was awesome. Send off to finally end Palpatine's contingency plan. They ended any hope of the Sith ever returning. So I thought that was really cool, and how it was done with all the Jedi getting to help out and participate in that. A lot of people thought that the Force Ghost should have like physically participated. Like, that would have been really cool. We saw all the Force Ghosts come back. Now, it would have been cool seeing the Force Ghosts, but I don't know. I don't think it would have been right seeing them in that scene, because it's kind of like in Return of the Jedi when Luke had to go confront Vader to finish his training. Rey had to go confront Palpatine on her own to face her fear to complete her training. It's just like when Luke had to go confront Vader, Obi-Wan tells him, like, I cannot interfere. They can't interfere, physically. So I think that would have just been a bit over the top too much if the Force Ghosts themselves were actually interfering there. But I did like how they were there to help Rey. Another thing that people hated in this film, they hate how she takes the name Skywalker, but I was fine with it. I like that whole theme of the film, how like bloodline doesn't matter, and if you look at it, Luke, Leia, and Han were all more parents to her than anyone else ever got to be anyways. And, she took on the name, basically, from what I got from it, was to, honor her two masters, Luke and Leia. So I was fine with it. And I know people were like, well, it doesn't matter, because in blood, she's not a Skywalker. Well, since her and Kylo share the same Force connection, and she's only living because of Kylo's Force life inside of her, Kylo Ren is basically living inside of her. So she's basically a Skywalker. I mean, Kylo Ren was a Skywalker, and the only reason she's alive is because she has the life force of a Skywalker inside of her. So I was fine with it, and I really loved the symbolism at the end, seeing her create her own lightsaber out of her staff that she had, which is really fitting to her character since she's a scavenger, how she was able to make her blade out of the staff that she always carries with her. But I love the symbolism of it being yellow, because yellow is the color that the old Jedi guards used to use, the guards of the Jedi temples, and they were, as I said, protectors, defenders of the Jedi way, of the temples and stuff. So I thought that was a really symbolic meaning of her being the one now to, be the one to protect the Skywalker legacy, pretty much. So I thought it was a cool send-off. And, for there being no plan in this trilogy and then JJ all suddenly having to come back and try to figure out how to wrap this thing up, I thought he did a pretty good job with what he was given. And, overall, some characters could have been fleshed out more, like Finn, as I said, and we never get to figure out who the Knights of Ren are, but I did think that the original trilogy characters had good send-offs in this film. I loved what they did with Kylo and Rey. I thought it had a good send-off, and they still did a good job, funny enough, introducing new characters in this film, while still not giving us answers on who some of the characters were that we've seen from the beginning, like the Knights of Ren. But again, with what JJ was given, I think they did a good job for the most part. And for me, The Rise of Skywalker gets 4 out of 5 Kyber crystals. But yeah, let me know what y'all's thoughts are on the Rise of Skywalker. I'd love to have a conversation about it with y'all in the comments. And I'll see y'all for my next video ranking of my number 6 spot. We'll see what that is then. See y'all later. Peace.